It's the final of a Grand Slam, the player who many consider to be the best ever to grace the sport. This is prime Roger Federer, but he's up against the new standard for modern tennis. A generational talent, freak of nature, and a man who many consider to be the perfect hybrid of the three best players in history.
And their opponent from Spain, Carlos Alcaraz.
Carlos Alcaraz has one mission: to become the future GOAT.
The new generation is always going to be better than the last generation.
But with the stage set and the conditions perfect, what would happen if both collided? Could Alcaraz defeat prime Roger Federer in a hypothetical matchup? Look, we've been lucky enough to already see what happens when two different eras collide on the same court. Alcaraz and Djokovic, Alcaraz and Nadal. These weren't just tennis matches, they were time capsules. And even though Carlitos didn't quite catch these guys at their absolute peak, those matchups were still electric. But Alcaraz and Federer never happened, not even close. And that gap, that mystery, is exactly what makes this conversation so irresistible. Federer versus Alcaraz might be the ultimate what if in tennis history. And going deeper into the analytics, the data reveals something I never imagined to be true. So here's how we're setting this up. Alcaraz as he exists today in 2026, the youngest man to ever complete the career Grand Slam. And we're pairing him against Federer in 2006, which was statistically his best season with 12 titles, a 92-5 record, 3 majors, and the final of the 4th. To make this fun for everyone, we're going to be comparing both players across 10 categories. Whoever wins more categories wins the hypothetical matchup. Simple as that. Oh, and before we get into it, yes, I know. Comparing two different players from two different eras, different equipment, different surfaces, different everything is kind of insane. But we're ripping the Band-Aid off and doing it anyway. Let's get into it. As usual, this isn't perfect, but it sets the ball rolling for a wholesome discussion. Let's kick things off with the serve, and honestly, this one's pretty straightforward. Alcaraz's serve is still a work in progress. Over the last year or so, he's quietly rebuilt the whole thing, lowering the toss, tightening the motion, and making everything just more compact. More Novak-esque, if you will. More importantly though, it's working. He's put up legitimate serve bot numbers at Grand Slam finals and even carried it through an entire tournament at the 2025 US Open. For a guy who was never supposed to be a big server, that's honestly wild. But then there's Federer, and Federer's serve is a different animal entirely. On the other side of the net, we have Federer, who just so happens to be one of the best servers literally of all time. Now, Federer's serve isn't elite because of its raw miles per hour. It's the disguise, placement, and overall consistency. Federer's serves had an identical and smooth motion which opponents simply couldn't read. Down the tee, deuce, wide on the ad. Federer ranks 3rd all-time in aces, and even though he played a lot more matches than many serve bots, hitting 11,000 aces over the course of a career is no joke. In addition to robbing you of valuable split seconds to react, because of the disguise on the toss, Federer consistently found the lines, which gives him an edge on the grass and hard courts. He just never missed his spots. Combine that with a devastating +1, and Roger was basically winning points before they even started. So with all that said, Federer takes this one, no debate. But it gets a bit more tricky with the ground strokes. Both men have deadly forehands. Federer's forehand is widely regarded as one of the very best shots ever witnessed in the sport.
If I had to choose the ultimate forehand, I'd probably go for Federer's. I think how consistent he is with his forehand. It's the best forehand I ever came up against.
Ask literally any player who faced him, and they'll tell you there weren't really any good answers for it.
And I would probably take Roger's forehand.
Roger has the best forehand.
The forehand is beautiful, versatile, powerful.
That was beautiful how he took over that point.
Of course, Federer never relied on a single weapon to beat you, but the forehand was the very essence of his game. The technique behind the shot allowed him to hit close to 80-mile-per-hour forehands with so much ease, and you could just see how it made up the bulk of his winners. Alcaraz's forehand, however, is an absolute wrecking ball.
He's got horsepower, this guy.
Just like Federer, Alcaraz's forehand produces damage from any position on the court. His forehand quality over the last 52 weeks is only behind Sinner's. That's elite company. Carlos's forehand has more RPMs, but more importantly, Alcaraz uses it to dictate games from start to finish. The power behind it pushes you so far back, and the touch he possesses makes you a sitting duck for the drop shot. both men have so much control over this shot, and their god-tier footwork allows them to hit forehands almost at will. Honestly, this one, it's closer than most people give Alcaraz credit for, but I'll still give Federer the edge here. But what about the backhand? Okay, here's where I'm going to ruffle some feathers. Federer's one-handed backhand was elegant and purely lethal on grass. And his one-hander is widely considered to be the best one-handed backhand in history, even though a pretty strong case can be made for Stan the Man.
Oh, he's done it again. This is unbelievable.
Over the course of his career, Federer dismantled some of the greatest serves in history with backhand returns that left the servers second-guessing their life choices. He could shorten his swing, block, and also redirect so easily. At the same time, prime Federer could hit his one-hander with lots of RPMs on the attack. And don't even get me started on the slice. It was pure poetry in motion. Against 99% of the tour, Federer's backhand was either doing this, or this, or this. However, Nadal's ultra-heavy topspin forehand to the Federer backhand exposed some real vulnerabilities. The high-bouncing ball to the one-hander was kind of always a problem. And Alcaraz, well, he can do exactly what Nadal did, also disrupting your contact point. Taking a look at Alcaraz, his two-handed backhand doesn't particularly stand out. It's all around solid, reliable, and only behind sinners in shot quality. In my opinion, Alcaraz's backhand doesn't get the attention it deserves, honestly because of just how unreal the rest of his game is. It may not be as versatile as Roger's one-hander or flashy to say the least, but in terms of effectiveness, it's right up there. A sizable chunk of Alcaraz's winners came from the backhand wing, and if you give him time, he'll absolutely hurt you. He'll trade cross-court, hit hard down the middle to take away your angles, or go down the line. Plus, he also throws in the backhand slice down the line as an effective strategy to reverse his patterns. On grass, I'll give Federer the edge, but on clay and on hard courts, where realistically most of these hypothetical matchups would be played, I'm taking the Alcaraz two-hander all day. The raw reliability and power of a great two-hander in the modern game is just too hard to argue against. Alcaraz takes this one. Oh, and feel free to duke it out with me in the comments. Let's now look at the final piece of the attack. Net play, drop shots, and the likes. I'm just gonna say it, Alcaraz hits droppers with such ease, frequency, and effectiveness that we simply can't compare anyone to him. No disrespect to Roger, but dare I say Alcaraz is the most frequent and most effective user of the drop shot in tennis history. It's just so unfair. The backhand droppers are great, but not as iconic as the inside-out forehand drop shot. Carlos has perfected the act of drop shotting in terms of timing and execution. Federer, on the other hand, was just as excellent. Plus, prime Federer arguably had better disguise on the backhand dropper, but he didn't weaponize it the way Carlos does. It wasn't really just a core piece of his arsenal. For Alcaraz, though, it basically is. Lobs, same story. Not only does Carlos have the best drop shot lob combo, he's also able to take advantage of the court geometry, turning defense into offense consistently. Federer used lobs as well as part of his overall artistic game, and they were mostly excellent, but I'll still take Alcaraz over Roger in this department. Now, switching to net game and volleys, something strikes me. Seeing Federer glide to the net is poetry in motion, and seeing him take care of business in the most casual way further established his superiority. Prime Federer made the net his home. His entire game in the forecourt, the transition, angle volleys, and touch was on a different level, and it's super hard to imagine anyone ever replicating it. When you look at the big picture, Federer gets more from his net play, but Alcaraz is no slouch either. He's currently the best of the current crop, and his net game remains the standard for players today. But best on tour right now and prime Roger at the net are two very different things. Roger takes this one for me. When you zoom out and look at both men's attack games as a whole, what you're really seeing are two different philosophies arriving at the same destination. And I think the level of talent on display would be off the charts if both men faced off, as they both have dominant all-court games. They both have excellent footwork, movement, heck, they even got overlapping shots in their toolkit. Prime Federer didn't overpower you with brute force. He took your time, rhythm, and confidence away and was the best front runner. But so was Alcaraz at the moment, but with more physical pressure. This one's just too close to call for me, so I'll leave it up to all of you to decide who has the better attack overall. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's flip this thing around and talk defense. This is where Alcaraz starts clawing back. Simply put, he's just a monster on the return. Top 3 in return shot quality. Thanks to data from Matt Willis, we see that like Sinner and Djokovic, Alcaraz is in a completely different league on returns. He makes enough returns while still finding the right level of aggression or neutralization to start negating the server's advantage through points won. Against peak Federer, Carlos will surely get whiffs of breakpoint opportunities. He's too good not to. You just know Carlitos is going to be having fun while waiting for the opportunity to hurt Federer. Alcaraz has shown a unique ability to take the return super early. He time crunches. He stands inside the baseline on second serves and redirects. That's going to be a problem for Federer's second serve, I reckon. Alcaraz sometimes puts fewer returns in play, but then wins more of those returns, which is often a successful aggressive return strategy. Plus, he also knows when to switch it up. Peak Federer was also an excellent returner, winning an insane 42% of return points, but he wasn't touching Djokovic's level, and he probably isn't touching this version of Alcaraz either. Different eras, you could say, but Carlos wins this category easily for me. Guys, if you like these types of video concepts, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be doing a few more of them over the next few weeks. Anyways, let's get you back to the video. Now let's talk about physicality. As we all know, Federer didn't need to engage in physical battles to beat you because he wouldn't even let you into the match in the first place. He won over 80% of points under 6 shots. Still, Federer's physicality was another underrated part of his game. Intense and consistent training, excellent physical conditioning, and smart proactive scheduling helped to keep him in tip-top shape. But it wasn't just that. Federer's anticipation and positioning was off the charts. The economy of his movement helped him save crucial energy during long matches.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a mindset to stay physically fit, you know? It's something that takes a lot of work. It's not easy every single day to wake up and think like, okay, I'm gonna go out there and do it and try to become better at fitness.
But then Nadal came along and completely dragged him into the deep end. Rafa was the kind of player to grind you down relentlessly, and he had great success doing that even against Federer. Zooming back out, Alcaraz has Nadal's engine, full stop. The biomechanics behind his stroke production and his speed, movement, and athleticism are legitimately insane. This guy will hit topspin at a full sprint consistently for hours and make every rally physical. At the 2022 US Open, Alcaraz spent almost 24 hours on the court across 7 matches, and also look at both of his Roland Garros title runs and see how much of a role physicality played in those wins. Alcaraz is young, and he's dealt with cramps here and there, but in a 5-set match on any surface, you're simply not going to outlast this man. He'll retrieve balls you've already written off. He'll make you hit one more shot, and then one more after that. That's a new problem for tennis, and it would be a problem for peak Federer, especially on clay. All that said, Alcaraz gets the nod here from me. Moving on to the next category, we have point-to-point consistency. Federer's consistency was built on efficiency. He won points quickly, made fewer unforced errors, and didn't experience too many dips in level. Alcaraz's in-match consistency, by contrast, has been a hot topic for many fans and pundits alike. Previously, Carlos had been notorious for losing focus during matches and experiencing huge drops in intensity and level. Occasionally, he would spray wild forehand errors all over the place when he's still trying to impose himself. He goes for more, which also means he misses more. But here's the twist. Alcaraz's perceived inconsistency rarely seems to affect his performance at Grand Slams. Federer's shot selection, on the other hand, was simply more conservative and more repeatable. I'd argue that both players are consistent in different ways. Federer with the fewer errors, Alcaraz with more consistency intensity-wise. Again, it's a close one, but Federer wins it for me. Overall, Alcaraz is the better defender. He's made a living out of stealing points even when he isn't playing at his best, and I think that would be a problem for Federer. Think Federer-Djokovic at Wimbledon in 2019. Federer was the much better player, won more points, but Djokovic won the most important points and turned up when it mattered most. I think the same could happen in a Federer-Alcaraz clash. But what about the intangibles? When it comes to tactical flexibility, it's clear who the winner is. Federer's brilliance was in executing his game plan with perfection. Serve, transition gracefully to the net, put it away. The match was over before you even knew it was happening. Federer had some of the best shot selections ever seen, and at his peak, he imposed himself on you and didn't need to tweak too many things, which is why it became a problem when Nadal consistently beat him for a while. Nadal figured out the blueprint and just kept refusing to cooperate, which sucked for Federer fans. Alcaraz, oh, he's something different. He's a hybrid of the big three. He can serve and volley his way through a grass court match. He can mix heavy topspin and precision with a drop shot at any moment. You genuinely can't game plan for him the way you could for most players because he wins points in 1,000 different ways. Alcaraz has high conversion and steal scores, which means that he not only wins so many points on the attack, but also when he's defending. Looking at all his Grand Slam wins so far, we can see how many times he needed to adapt on the fly and change his strategy to win. Against Djokovic at this year's Australian Open final, Alcaraz was willing to be more patient, sit back, take pace off the ball, play more defense, and hit Novak when he saw an opening. That's a level of tactical maturity that most players his age just don't really have. Against Federer, it's not hard to imagine Alcaraz finding solutions to Roger's puzzles. This isn't meant to be blasphemy, but I sincerely think Alcaraz over time eventually demonstrates more tactical flexibility than Federer. Alright, picture this. It's a deciding set tiebreak, Federer versus Alcaraz. The whole match comes down to this moment. Who are you picking? Now, here's the thing, Federer's mental game was on another level. We talk a lot about Djokovic's defiance and mental steel, and rightfully so, but Prime Federer was right there with him in terms of delivering on the biggest stages. He backed himself, he went for his shots when it mattered most. He believed, and it showed.
I would never lose matches because of our mental strength, and I think I was able to achieve that. Of course, I still get nervous. Of course, sometimes I still don't play very well, but I can trust myself.
Federer, however, also blew a staggering 22 matches after holding match points. And while Alcaraz is likely going to lose a few matches from a similar position in the years to come, it's hard to imagine Carlos crumbling under pressure. Alcaraz doesn't just maintain his level in the big moments, he actually elevates and performs better when the stakes are high. His under-pressure stats are S-tier. Alcaraz could be 2 sets and a breakdown and still enjoy himself on the court knowing he's somehow going to find a way past you. He's also unbelievably clutch under pressure. Alcaraz has created and converted more breakpoints than anyone on tour in the last 52 weeks, and while it's super close because we're talking about Prime Roger here, I'm going to have to go with Alcaraz. And this isn't even recency bias playing out here, it's just how I see it. The last category is the one that's hardest to put numbers on, and honestly, that's kind of the point. Federer never had to face a player with all the qualities of Alcaraz, which makes it difficult to imagine how it would have played out. And in fact, this is why so many people argue that comparing eras just doesn't really make sense because there's not really any way around it. Alcaraz brings beautiful chaos on 2 legs and is unpredictable in ways we just can't describe. He's always going to have the added advantage of that X factor because you just never know what he's up to. Federer could also win points in ways you'd never see coming, and that was part of what made him special too. But I'm still going to have to pick Alcaraz for the win here. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to who wants it more. Both guys are incredible players. Federer says this about playing Alcaraz.
Carlos, when I see him, I see more like, okay, I feel like there's more similarities in terms of what we would do, in terms of when we would hit a drop shot, when we would come to the net, how offensive, how passive do we decide to play, because I think we like to play on our terms, so I put myself more into Carlos's mindset and skin.
And Alcaraz believes even Prime Roger has the edge.
El mejor Carlos Alcaraz contra el Federer Prime en la final de Wimbledon. ¿Quién gana?
Son épocas distintas, pero yo diría que Federer.
I mean, seriously, what else is he going to say? Well, I think it depends on the surface. Federer has the edge on grass, Alcaraz on clay, and it's more even on hard courts. I'd say if you ran this match 10 times, Prime Federer against Alcaraz right now, the outcome is going to be different every time. The rivalry will also likely produce some of the most epic memories on the court, and other factors not covered in our criteria may even end up deciding the winner. That's not me dodging the question, that's just how evenly matched I think they genuinely are, although Alcaraz may have the slight edge. But here's the thing, the question isn't whether Alcaraz could beat Prime Federer because we'll never know. The question is, what happens when Alcaraz reaches his own prime?